And just because you have a 4.0, a 4.2, all these extracurriculars, congratulations to you. Everybody who's applying to UCLA, Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, and whatever other place has that same thing. You do not stand out. I'm Antwann Michael, and this is The Breakdown. All right, folks, this coming in over the weekend that 12 students at UCLA have had their visas revoked, and that this same thing, of course, is taking place on other university and college campuses across the United States. What is taking place in collegiate spaces in this particular instance has to be placed in conversation with Supreme Court cases such as Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard College, where there is this contestation over who belongs and who does not belong, who the university or college is admitting versus who they are not admitting and why. And at the same time, this conversation also has to be mapped onto this broader dialogue that's happening around equity, inclusion, and diversity, and how it is essentially being pushed out within the national narrative that somehow equity, inclusion, and diversity is a challenge to white folks. But when they actually sit down and they look at the numbers and they look at the qualifications, most white folks come to understand that, oh my goodness, I actually am, in fact, the diversity hire. And the reason why I also say that what's going on college campuses in terms of visas and them being revoked has to be placed in conversation with Students for Fair Admissions is because this is another way of achieving the end objective that they want to achieve. In other words, if they can't serve on the admissions committee, and many of the people spouting off these things about equity, inclusion, and diversity don't have the qualifications to sit on an admissions committee, let alone assess a student profile to determine whether or not they should be admitted to the college or university. But they figure since we cannot necessarily sit in on those committees and decide who gets in and who does not, what we will then do is we will pick some random action that we don't like that's taking place on college campuses across the United States. And we will say, aha, if you are not a United States citizen, then first of all, that's step number one for why we think you don't belong at our universities. And then since you were admitted, what we will do is we will use the process of law. We will use process as punishment and manipulate law to make sure you get up out of here. So even though you've been admitted, we will make sure that your admittance is basically rescinded by revoking your visa, all in service of them thinking that that particular person is occupying a space, and let's keep it honest here, they think that that particular student, that international student, is occupying a space that a white student should be in. This has to also be placed in conversation with the rollbacks that the Trump administration is doing on college campuses in terms of grants, right? We know that Johns Hopkins has had their grants rolled back and had to lay off approximately 2,000 people, right? We also know that those who were doing work with the National Institutes of Health have had their particular grants, their research grants in the STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that they have had their research grants taken away, and they are unable to complete either their research work if they're at the professorial level, or they're not able to complete their doctoral work should they be a doctoral candidate or student. We really have to understand the larger context of what is happening here in trying to control both the racial and ethnic demographics on collegiate and university campuses across the United States, and that this particular administration is manipulating the structure in such a way to achieve a racist objective that these institutions should be in service of a particular populace that they deem worthy, regardless of the fact of whether students that belong to that populace actually qualify to be there or not. We really have to understand not only the fascist front that is happening at this particular moment, but the white nationalist push that is happening. This is really something serious to look at and to understand. And as Trump is pulling back this funding, this money that helps to fund these colleges and universities, what that does is it intensifies the conversation around who should occupy a seat and who should not, and why they should or should not be there, and what are the grounds upon which merit is established. But here is the thing that I want, folks out there to understand, that if you have a 4.0, if you have all these extracurriculars, that does not guarantee you admission. You are not special. The whole purpose of a college campus or a university campus is that you are bringing different people from different backgrounds, different experiences, different gender orientation, religious background together. You're bringing all these people together. And just because you have a 4.0, a 4.2, all these extracurriculars, congratulations to you. Everybody who's applying to UCLA, Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, and whatever other place has that same thing. You do not stand out. What stands out is the background. What stands out is the cultural differentiation that can come to campus and put that lived experience in campus and put that different context in the classroom, to contribute to the forward progression of the knowledge that's happening in the classroom space. If everyone is from the same background, if everyone has the 4.0, if everyone has extracurriculars, then we're not learning, we're not advancing, we're not moving forward. That is why you can have a 4.3 and still not make it in, because you do not stand out. Congratulations, you know how to take a test. Whoop-de-doo. But what are you putting in the space that contributes to the deepening of the intellectual mooring of the college indoor university? How are you contributing to the spaces? What are you bringing to the table, right? It's not just enough to be able to say, I took a test, I know how to take a SAT, so therefore I should get in. No. This is about the production of the mind and how to think critically and how to learn from others. If you introduce yourself to yourself, you already know yourself, but you need to introduce yourself to others to help sharpen yourself, to challenge those positions, right? In either case, this is happening all across the United States, and seemingly it is the case that visas are being used to, to take underrepresented students out of collegiate spaces, seemingly, right, in hopes that students that this administration would prefer be there be accepted in their places. This is very interesting to watch go down in real time. This has been The Breakdown. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.